Hello and welcome back to live coverage of the Apex Gaming $2,000 Pioneer Open. I'm Tandy, joined by Ross Merriam. Say hi, Ross.
Hi, Ross.
We got 3 rounds down and 3 more Swiss to bring in before we start the top 8. We're going to be having all those matches today on camera. We're in round number 4. Ross, why don't you give us a rundown of the 2 players we're going to be watching this round and what decks they're playing?
So we're going to be watching Table 1. These two players have started their tournament undefeated, looking to get one more and then hopefully double draw in. We'll see how well that works out for them, but it's going to be AJ Childers this round on Abzan Greasefang against Cody Hill on what we are calling Gruul Huntsman.
Yep.
No boats in this deck, no Sky Sovereigns, no boat noises.
Aw, I miss the boat noises. Yeah, but this new build of Gruul, specifically using the Huntsman's Redemption, the powerful saga from MTG Woe, it comes down and makes some pressure. It allows you to tutor for something, and then it gives a huge buff for a huge swing, and all for just 3 mana.
Yeah, not a big toolbox in the main deck with the Huntsman's Redemption. I like that. You don't want to go overboard, but it does let you help you set up Voldar and Thrillseeker,
Right.
which can be really nice. He's got a few cool things in the sideboard. He's got a single copy of Hazaret the Fervent. I see a copy of Klothys, God of Destiny, and a Tranquil Frillback, which is a versatile creature that covers a lot of different situations. Can disrupt graveyards, gain life against aggro decks, blow up artifacts and enchantments. Getting all 3 of those effects in one. We used to have to play 3 separate cards to do all 3 of those things in our toolboxes, so really saves sideboard space, lets him fill out the sideboard with more impactful cards.
Yeah, and tutor effects that essentially cost no mana are also great when you have things that have things like kicker, right? This thing doesn't have kicker itself, but it has virtual kicker, and so when you get to play the tutor effect off the Huntsman's Redemption and find this thing, it allows you to use all your mana just on it.
Yeah, and because the saga triggers on your main phase, you can even float a mana from a mana creature, sack that to the second chapter, and use that mana to cast whatever creature you find.
Nice. His opponent, AJ Childers, is going to be on the classic Abzan Greasefang, the powerful 3 mana rat from Neon Dynasty. Going to be bringing back Parhelions, all sorts of other nonsense, and filling the graveyard along the way. These players are ready in the feature match area. So let's head on down for round number 4, the Apex Gaming $2,000 Pioneer Open. These 2 players here are undefeated at 3-0, and we'll see which one comes out on top and has the luxury of drawing over the next 2 rounds.
Yeah, should be an interesting match. Not a ton in the way of interaction from the Gruul deck against Greasefang. There's a Scavenging Ooze in the main. We can tutor for that with the Huntsman's Redemption. But the removal spells are 2 copies of Obliterating Bolt and 4 the Akroan War. That's all sorcery speed removal. Not very good against Greasefang itself.
So it's a pure racing scenario. We're going to start off with Lovestruck Beast, going to make a 1/1 token off of Heart's Desire. No turn to play for Childers, but likely going to pop this Vessel of Nascency. Could play Grizzly Salvage or something instead.
Yeah, a couple copies of Vessel here. Just a minor, Traverse Delirium package.
I believe that's a Scavenging Ooze. Is
Yes.
there a Scavenging Ooze in the main deck? Okay.
1 copy of Scavenging Ooze in the main, and this is a good time to have it.
All right, so we're going to play the Grizzly Salvage instead of popping the Vessel. We're going to find, it looks like we found a Greasefang. So now we're going to be able to go ahead and turn 3 at least do the Sky Sovereign. I don't know if a Parhelion was poking out under there, but here is the rat.
Sky Sovereign will deal with the Scavenging Ooze, so excellent reply from Childers, and yeah, this might be a laugher.
All right, 6 damage coming across, but then Sky Sovereign goes back to hand. In a couple turns, we can cast it and kill another creature. Cody Hill's board is shattered. Let's see if he can rebuild.
This is a game that was very clearly decided by the die roll.
All right, Obliterating Bowl should exile that Greasefang. If we could go ahead and get that fixed. I know the Greasefang deck does have ways to reanimate it. But we do take care of the Greasefang, and it is now gone. Okay.
Looking at the list, I actually don't see any copies of Can't Stay Away in Childers' list.
Okay. I guess some players have been moving away from the Can't Stay Away in favor of just more virtual copies of Greasefang with things like Traverse the Ulvenwald.
Yep, that's what he has decided as well.
No turn 4 play for Childers, but can still pop Vessel of Nascency. We'll go back Cody Hill's way, looking for some pressure.
And just a land here for Childers to let him redeploy the Sky Sovereign from hand, and then really any creature will do, or Fiend's Informant.
Okay, we're going to hardcast Lovestruck Beast. That one is hard to kill with the Sky Sovereign, but now AJ going to go popping. We're going to take a damage. To me, that means we're going to do another Grizzly Salvage as well, or some other piece of interaction here. And we find Greasefang. That's bad news for Cody Hill.
With a Chariot and another Sky Sovereign put into the graveyard. Now we're just digging for the Parhelion.
Yeah, and if we find it, the game's over. I see a white card, but I don't
There it
think it's
is.
it. But there it is. Parhelion, the last card, and AJ Childers takes game number 1.
Yeah, an excellent draw there from the Greasefang deck, and there's just not much Gruul has to interact with it. The Scavenging Ooze might have been good enough had it come down on the play
Right.
before Greasefang can get cast, but turn 2 on the draw, too slow.
Ross, are you positing that losing the die roll has significant impact?
Pretty sure.
All right, as these players are sleeving up for game number 2, they're going to take a look at their sideboards and see how they can improve their matchups. Ross, starting with the Gruul Huntsman deck, why don't you give me a little bit of insight into Cody Hill's thoughts and what you think he's going to be bringing in?
So Cody does have a Gigantha as a companion, has the Singleton, Hazaret the Fervent, Clothis God of Destiny, and Tranquil Furlback that I talked about earlier. Also has 1 Roast, 2 Lithomantic Barrage, 2 Rending Volley, 2 Damping Sphere, 2 Unlicensed Hearse, and 2 Cindervines. For sure, I love the Unlicensed Hearses. For sure, I love the removal spells that answer Greasefang at instant speed. That's Rending Volley and Lithomantic Barrage. In a pinch, they can also kill a Rafine's Informant if you need them to. So relatively narrow in application, but definitely good enough to come in. So those 6 cards are 100% for me. Oddly enough, I'm not a big fan of Tranquil Furlback or Clothis. They might still be good enough to bring in, but the fact that they operate at sorcery speed is a
Right.
big issue in this matchup. So they are questionable to me, but definite possibilities. And then there's the question of Cindervines. This Greasefang deck casts a lot of spells. Like the trigger will generally deal a good amount of damage, and blowing up some of the artifacts and enchantments over the course of the game, if you end up playing a fair game, destroying a boat normally or destroying an Ezekiel's chariot can be quite helpful. And generally, the Greasefang deck moves away from being a graveyard-focused combo deck, knowing that Graveyard Hate is coming in, and becomes more of a mid-range deck, goes down on Parhelion, relies more on those other vehicles in order to take the post-sideboard game. So
Yeah.
Cindervines is definitely another option as well.
Yeah, limiting your vulnerability to the sideboard plans of your opponent, which often include anti-graveyard measures. On the other side of things for the Greasefang deck, what do you think is going to be coming in on that side to kind of facilitate this swap to a more mid-range strat?
So AJ Childers has a single Liliana of the Veil to supplement 1 in the main, 1 Knight of Autumn, 2 Go Blank, 1 Go for the Throat, 1 Terra Sunder, 1 Vanishing Verse, 4 Fatal Push, 1 Ray of Enfeeblement, 1 Surge of Salvation, and 2 Reckoner Bankbuster. So clearly, this sideboard is about getting more interactive and playing that mid-range game that I talked about. I think Childers will go that route. I like the Fatal Pushes as answers to a lot of the early creatures. And then you got some good removal against the bigger threats. Vanishing Verse can even answer an Ezekiel's Chariot. You've got a Go for the Throat can then answer big things. And I think if you're going to bring in a lot of removal like that, I like bringing in the Bank Busters too and get some additional card advantage in your deck. Maybe trim on, some of your Graveyard Engine and also trim on some of these discard spells. There's 2 Duress and 4 Thoughtseize in Childers' main deck. So we'll probably see him go down on those and trade that disruption for more spot removal.
All right. Great insight from the man, the myth, the legend, Ross Merriam.
That is what they call me.
I think, you know what? That is what they call you. I'm just going to make that true from now on. Ultimate Guard is one of our sponsors. We got a new logo up there. I want you to take a look at it. But Ultimate Guard is your one-stop shop for all TCG supplies, from the Katana sleeves to the archive deck box. Make sure to check out your local game store for Ultimate Guard products. Shout out to G Fuel Energy Formula for giving me the energy I need to get through these long days of commentary here at the Apex Gaming Home Store in Caldwell, Ohio. And once again, thanks to Wings, etc., all for sponsoring our event. Wings, etc. Grill and Pub is a great place to head after a long day and have you a nice meal and a drink or two with some good friends and some good times.
I'll see you there in about 5 hours.
Hopefully you don't get mono green mirrors all over the place in top 8.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Players here are just about ready to start game number 2. Childers did take a mulligan to 6. We're going to start with Cody Hill looking for a turn 1 elf, and we have it. That's going to facilitate early Huntsman's Redemptions and other 3 cost beaters that might actually be able to get under the Greasefang reanimation package. But here's a turn 1 Vessel of Nascency.
Yeah. The first question asked is, do you have the Fatal Push for my elf? Childers says, no, I do not. So Cody Hill could have a very aggressive start this game.
All right, doesn't look like we have a second land. Just plays another elf and passes turn. So a potentially explosive start from Gruul Huntsman, blunted by the missed land drop. Kept a weak one. Here's Witherbloom Command. Going to kill an elf effectively. Becomes Stone Rain. We're going to mill some cards off the top, looking for a land to come back. We find one, and it's either Takenuma or Mana Confluence.
Shoulders decides he is okay with the swamp, doesn't want to take extra damage in this aggressive matchup.
Cody finds land number 2, which enables a 3-drop here. We're going to play Reckless Stormseeker Smash for 3. This card from Crimson Vow, I believe. Powerful haste creature that grants haste to your future creatures as well. Hits hard. The backside is really punishing as well. Just an excellent creature to pair with turn 1 Llanowar Elves in these Gruul decks.
Yeah, it's sort of the secret key card in this Gruul deck.
Yeah.
And casting it on turn 2 is what you want to do every game. Unfortunately, he'll have to wait till turn 3 to do it. We'll see how punishing that is.
Pretty awkward turn from Childers. Just a 2/1 Knight of Autumn that gains 4 life. Doesn't even challenge the Reckless Stormseeker. Let's see if Cody Hill can punish. Going to get something down. Hopefully, like another 3-drop or potentially Eskid Chariot of his own. Just has 3 mana, though. Here's another Reckless Stormseeker. We're going to smush for 6.
Yeah, so the Knight of Autumn coming in from the sideboard, reasonable against the aggressive deck that also has Azeka's Chariot for you to target. Childers also doesn't know that Cody Hill has no copies of Sky Sovereign. It could also hit a Huntsman's Redemption, but there I think I would have rather seen the 2+1 counter so you could trade for one of these Reckless Stormseekers.
Yeah, Childers maybe having flashbacks from last game where Obliterating Bolt was able to take out his creature, choosing instead to just gain some life and hopefully leaves something in the future to protect. But going to go ahead and chump block to protect some life. And now here's Rafine's Informant, and we can pop Vessel of Nascency on instep and maybe do some damage. But Cody Hill gets to untap with 4 mana, maybe 5 if he has a land drop. We'll see if he's able to deploy one of those big baddies and give him haste.
Yeah. Childers discarding the second copy of Vessel there to the Rafine Connive. Just doesn't have time to pop a second Vessel in this game, so it makes sense to get rid of that one.
Notable, didn't have a Parhelion in hand or any of those other vehicles either, so wasn't able to use that. And here's a stomp on the blocker here, Rafine's Informant. And now, if we have a land, we can challenge with the Bonecrusher Giant as well, but we don't. And here we just punch in for 3, 6, 7.
Still a good amount.
Yep. Here's a salvage end of turn. That turn 1 Vessel of Nascency never got popped.
Oh, so you see Thoughtseize there, so some number of Thoughtseize stayed in here for Childers.
Right.
But Fatal Pushes also came in. So get some insight into how he approaches matchup and sideboarding. Gonna need something really good here because he's very far behind.
Yeah, I think it's got to be a perfect Vessel into Greasefang and Parhelion or Sky Sovereign, and even then it might not be enough because Cody Hill has him down to 6 already. But we're going to start with Grizzly Salvage instead. That's basically the same as the Vessel, but just gets 1 card deeper. We do find Greasefang, but no vehicles.
Yeah, Childers has seen a ton of cards this game. Just hasn't found both pieces of the combo. I want to say he's through about 20, 25 cards of his deck.
Yeah, but like you said, it could have cited some of them out in order to have some more of that interaction. So maybe being punished for being more interactive and maybe on the play for next game goes ahead and just shoves back in full combo mode.
Maybe, didn't really draw the interaction that game, instead milled it over.
Right.
And we saw a bunch of Thoughtseizes and Fatal pushes among the Vessel and Grizzly Salvage cards over the course of that game. So, that is the downside of becoming this more interactive deck. It didn't really have the interaction early, instead had the card selection cards that are in the deck, which pushed you in the combo direction, and now you're a lot less consistent in assembling that combo.
All right, well, these players are shuffling up here for game number 3. I'd like to remind everybody what we're playing for today. The prize pool for today's event, we have $2,000 in cash to give away. First place up top, $500. We're also giving away some qualifications to various events. The top 2 players from today's event will be qualified for the Apex Invitational next month on the November 17th weekend. The first place player will also be qualified for the RC, the Regional Championship in Denver in February. So players looking out for those qualifications here while also trying to score a nice piece of change.
Yeah, and these players are getting very close. 4-0 would be almost a lock to make the elimination rounds. This is the 6 Swiss round tournament with 46 players. So, this is the point where you can really start feeling it in the tournament when you're in the third to last round and you're undefeated. You're right there. You want to win this one so you can take a couple rounds off. Maybe get something to eat
Not me. I like losing. I like staying fresh.
and get a rest. But
All right, we have a game starting here. Game number 3 between AJ Childers, Greasefang, and Cody Hills. Gruul Huntsman. Childers leads off with Thoughtseize.
right.
Sees a hand with Reckless Stormseeker, Bone Crusher Giant, Stomping Ground, Carplusion Forest, Lair of the Hydra, Rending Volley, and it looks like a Llanowar Elves or Elvish Mystic.
Yeah. So an excellent hand here from Cody Hill.
Yes.
Has the turn one elf into Stormseeker draw that we talked about that's so good in this deck. Has an answer to an early creature like a Rafine's Informant with that stomp. And also another threat to follow up the Stormseeker, and has the Rending Volley to deal with Greasefang.
Yeah, so a great hand from Cody, but perhaps one Thoughtseize is going to pick it apart. Childers here are going to look to acquire Greasefang and a Parhelion in the next few turns, and we'll see if Cody Hill can find the answer.
Yeah, taking the Rending Volley with the Thoughtseize is the scariest thing from Cody Hill's side. He's got to think my opponent has the combo and is going to go for it relatively quickly.
Right.
But now follows it up with Fatal Push on the Elf. That's more of a let's play the mid-range grindy game.
Yes.
So
that leans very much so into the Gruul Huntsman deck, though.
yeah, conflicting signals here that Cody Hill is getting, and now, well, doesn't really have to worry much about the combo.
Yeah, no kidding. Unlicensed Hearse comes down. This is one we actually haven't seen a ton of lately. It's been getting outclassed a bit in some of these decks, but here, looking quite nice. We're going to eat 2 cards in the graveyard from Childers, and then in response, we're playing the Grizzly Savage.
I guess a little bit of odd timing from Childers. Cody Hill's going to be able to untap and exile cards if they're relevant with an empty graveyard. Maybe you can bait Cody into crewing and attacking next turn, and you'll get a free turn with those cards. Instead, does not, though. AJ's hand does not look great. I think I see a Parhelion and a Sky Sovereign in it. So has the combo pieces in hand, but doesn't have the answer to the Hearse, so the combo pieces are pretty weak. Maybe we can get to 5 mana and hardcast the boat. That would be quite nice. But
Yeah,
that's
we're
a ways
pretty
away.
close to it. This turn we're playing land number 4, and I see a swamp rolled up. So if Sky Sovereign is there, we will be able to play it next turn and kill that Reckless Stormseeker that's putting so much pressure on us.
Yeah. But the boat isn't that good. You don't have a ton of ways to crew it, and this Rafine's Informant is getting stumped.
Yep. All right, we're going to go back Cody Hill's way, and we'll see if he's able to apply some more pressure. We're going to eat some things out of the graveyard. He's going to grow that Unlicensed Earth, but more importantly, it's going to stifle Abzan Greasefang's ability to do that Greasefang combo.
Yeah, no surprise that Childers discards the Parhelion. Even though you know it's going to get exiled, it's doing no good for you in your hand. So you got to turn it into something that's more relevant and try to pivot into playing this mid-range game. And you got to think that at this point, he's regretting taking that Rending Volley, because would have probably been better off, given the course of this game, taking one of the threats, slowing this game down, and ensuring that he has time to maybe either find an answer to Hearse or find things like Ezekiel's Chariot and more of his removal spells and be able to play that attrition mid-range game.
All right, but land number 5 here for Childers allows for a cast Sky Sovereign. Let's get the boat on the screen, Ross. It's a boat.
Yeah.
Sky Sovereign coming through, deals 3 to the Stormseeker, putting it down, but this Unlicensed Hearse is about to match it on size here, and if we have this Bone Crusher, we can play as well to crew it and hit for a big chunk.
I do think I see another Rafine's Informant in Childers' hands, who if he's able to discard a non-land to the Connive, he can start crewing the boat, and that'll put in some work. And you got to wonder now, at 11, whether Cody is going to start crewing this Hearse.
Yeah, I think so. I think 6 damage here coming across is pretty big, and we have that Bone Crusher rolled up to be able to do it guaranteed.
Yeah. And Childers is down to 2 cards in hand, has nothing going in the graveyard, so he would need to, have salvage into both pieces of the combo in order to punish you.
Okay, well, it looks like we are not going to pressure with the Hearse. We're going to prevent the Greasefang combo for one more turn.
Yeah, we need to find 1 power or 1 more damage for it to be lethal, so...
Here's a Rafine's Informant. We're going to go Conniving. If we discard a spell, it gets a buff, and that'll allow for a crew on the Sky Sovereign. That's what we got. Here comes the Smush. Bone Crusher down. Attack for 6 coming in, down to 12.
Okay. So now, not sure how we get to a lethal attack.
Well, we do have Lair of the Hydra hiding down there. I'm not sure if it's going to be able to lethal this turn, but we're not facing lethal on the way back.
Yeah, activating Lair to crew still leaves us 1 damage short.
Well, if we drew Elf, we could do like Elf, use the 2 elves to crew, and then activate the Sky Sovereign and get in.
Elf or a Stomp
Lair.
would be nice, or a Reckless Stormseeker, because you can crew with the 2/3 Oh,
What about that one?
this will do it.
Oh man! All right, we're gonna crew unlicensed hearse. We're gonna attack for 8, 9 damage. Childers down to 1, and Voldaren Thrillseeker gonna throw itself at Childers and defeat him. 2-1 in favor of Cody Hill with Gruul Huntsman and very likely into the top 8, starting at 4-0 in our 6th round.
Yeah, really well played from Cody Hill. Was very patient with the hearse, kept it up the entire time, and just one-shotted his opponent with it eventually.